Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick from the city of Hampton. And today we're going to do a parenting episode on how to reduce the stress of parenting. We can all use that. My guest is Healthy Families consultant Alvean Lyons. Welcome, Alvean.
Thank you.
This is a tough, just like thinking about reducing the stress kind of makes me want to relax a little bit, but it's hard. It is very stressful, especially during the school year. You've got so much going on, work, family, homework, dramas,
Our life as adults. We haven't even gotten into what we need in our world, trying to balance that with our kids and all the things that are going on with them. There's no question about it. We all feel the stress. And trying to figure out how do we reduce the stress? Is there some simple way to be able to do that? Which is what we're going to talk about. There are a few things we can do. The biggest thing for most parents is what's going on inside the household. How do I manage all of the needs that my kids have, make it clear what my expectations are, what I want from them on a daily basis? Can I make that simple enough, especially with teenagers that, seem to finish your sentence before you even start your sentence? So you're trying to figure out how do I communicate these things, but do them in a way that they hear me, I know what I want, they know what I want. We're able to do this as calmly as we can.
Without fighting.
Without fighting, because that's the thing, the conflict. Yes. We don't want the shutting down, but we also want the expectations to be crystal clear. So it makes it easier for us to reinforce those things or enforce some of those things sometimes.
Right.
So we have a quick little math equation for it, okay? So we're gonna consider it parent smart math today, okay? So the equation is A plus B plus C equals D. So let me start
That sounds simple.
Hey, most of us, we could handle that math, especially when it makes sense for us. So we'll start with the A, attitude. Huge.
Mine or theirs?
Both. That's so great that you said that, but really it is both. And I say both in that you kind of, you gave us a little lead in there, and that we can't expect things from our kids that we don't do ourselves. A lot of times, our biggest frustration as parents is seeing ourselves in our kids and trying to parent ourselves, because that's what happens.
Yes.
A lot of times, they're picking up our worst habits and ones that we didn't even know we were sharing. And it's the things that we do in the grocery store. It's the things that we do when we get frustrated. It's the things that we do when, we're stressed out and our kids are watching us. And even when it seems like they're not paying attention, they are. And they're little sponges. They're absorbing things all the time, intended and unintended.
Yeah, see, if they only picked up the good stuff, it'd be fine, wouldn't
It'd be fabulous, right? So ignore this one. So when mommy, kind of flips her top on this one, pretend you didn't see that. And let's focus on this very good thing that mommy's working on and wants you to see and pick up, or dad for that matter. But that's not how it works as kids. They are 24 hours on, remote, connected to, Wi-Fi connected to us as parents, and they're picking things up. So we do have to be mindful of our own attitude, because modeling is the most effective way to parent. So yes, it is true, that A includes us too, but the A that we are talking about in this particular moment is really their attitudes.
Okay.
We've got to work on attitudes. There's so many factors that attitudes contribute to how they're going to perform in school, how people are going to receive them, whether or not they make friends effectively, whether or not they're able to connect well. A lot of that has to do with attitude. Reality is that our kids are just preparing to be adults. And what it is that they're doing in their lives now are going to affect what their lives are going to look like for the rest of their lives. So we want to lay good foundations. Teaching your kids to have a good attitude is probably one of the best things that we can do. Everybody likes a teachable kid. Everybody likes somebody that they can work with that has a positive attitude about tough things sometimes. And especially inside of school, teachers will tell you all day long that, look, give me a kid with a great attitude and I can do almost anything. And they'll sometimes choose it over academic capability, because you could be smart, but if you have a horrible attitude, it's hard to work with you. But if you have a positive attitude, even if you're not strong academically, or you're not strong in terms of you're in sports, dealing with coaches, everybody says a kid with a great attitude, I could do anything with. So one of the first things we want to do is to teach them to have a good attitude and to expect that of them, even when they don't feel like doing whatever it is that we say needs to get done. So that's your first one.
Okay.
Then we go to B, books. School is your job. When you're a kid, school is your job. For us as adults, we go to work, We do what we're supposed to do. Our paycheck is the reward for that. For them as kids, they go to school. They do what they're supposed to do. Their report card is their reward where that's concerned. That is how you are being paid back for the job that you are doing, how much you're putting in or not putting in the process. Books are their job. We have to take their academic experiences very seriously. So it does require some stuff on our end as parents. We've got to show up for parent-teacher conferences. We've got to be there. We've got to make sure that we are reinforcing the fact that they are doing what they need to do when they get home, because the teachers can't come home with them. And as much as they want to see our kids succeed, their jurisdiction ends at the end of the school day and ours begins. We've got to do our job in the process, and many of us are working really hard. And we've got a lot going on, and there's no question about that. But even here in Hampton City Schools, we are trying daily to find ways to connect with parents who have busy schedules, to be able to make sure that kids have access to the technology necessary to be able to do the jobs that they need to do, even if we ourselves don't have it in our budget. The schools are trying to reduce barriers to excel. So we have to be in this together, though, because they can't do it all by themselves, and nobody's perfect, so I'm sure there are things that can be worked on. But at home, we've got to do our job, too.
Well, we have to go through the backpacks, we have to look for notes, we have to check the planner, and there's online ways you can check now, too. Whether it's what your kids' homework is, do they have outstanding grades, is there something that they haven't turned in? I mean, there are so many ways now to know what's going on, even if you're not there.
If you want to.
So wanting to.
You have to want to, because it really is, in the partnership, we both have to do our parts. The teachers have to want to do a great job teaching our kids, and we have to want to do a great job ensuring that what is taught is being reinforced in the ways that it needs to be. Parent portal for Hampton City Schools is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
You can see, did your kids show up late for class? You dropped them off on time, but somehow they ended up late into class. What's going on in there? Are we not where we need to be? Are we missing out on what essential information that's going on in class? Is that what's impacting our schoolwork and our performance? Is there something going on socially that we may need to be mindful of? Parent Portal is an excellent way to keep tabs on your kid positively, and to be able to quickly be able to reach out to your teachers. You can literally click on the teacher's name and send an email immediately. Hey, what's going on? Johnny was having a hard time today. Keisha was saying something was going on. I noticed this was going on. Whatever it is, you can stay connected. But the reality is that we want to see our kids do well, because education is essential as the gateway to opportunity. So B is books. They have got to take school seriously, and we have to enforce the fact that they are taking it seriously, both by the decisions we're making and also the practice that we're putting in at home. Set a schedule. In your household, is there allocated time that is school time, where we turn off the technology that doesn't pertain to your academics, where we're not watching television, when we're not tweeting, Instagramming, Snapchatting any of our friends, when we're not doing anything that doesn't have to do with that academic period of time. And it's fine when they get home. They might need to download a little bit.
Right.
Have that break. Get a chance to be social, do what you need to do, grab a snack, whatever you need to do.
Run around outside.
Whatever it is, de-stress, because they need to de-stress too.
Sure.
You've been in school all day long. But when it is time to sit down, we need to close out everything else. We need to have a clear, clean, appropriate space for our kids to be able to do that job, so that they go back into that mode about being a thinker for whether it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever is appropriate developmentally for your kids. And you may need to sit down or be accessible, so that if they have questions, those questions can be answered. But B is books. Kids have got to take care of that book part of their personhood in order to ensure success. Then we get to C, chores. I know it's a dirty word, but it's important. Kids have to have chores. If we're going to raise people who are going to be active contributors in this society, people who are givers and not just takers, we have to work on those things early. Kids need to have something that they do at home. We work hard every day as parents. We pay the bills, we clean up the house, we do all kinds of things. But if our kids just assume that life is about somebody else doing everything for you, how then will they stand on their own 2 feet appropriately? How then will they be givers instead of takers? What is it that we are teaching them when everything is handed to them but nothing is earned? So it's important that they have chores, and cleaning your bedroom should not be your only chore.
That's what I say too. That is you taking care of you,
That's
but
exactly
you need
right.
to contribute to the rest of us too.
That's exactly
Something
right.
that involves the household.
That is exactly right, because your room is your space. That is still, as you said, about you. But chores have to be about something that's more than you. You have to know what it's like to contribute to the team as a whole, because when you go to work, you will work with other people who will need you to contribute to things which will not always benefit just you. It's not going to guarantee you the promotion. It may not guarantee you the increased salary or hourly wage. It may not guarantee you anything more than the fact that the team moved forward. And we've got to teach our kids that everything is not about a personal payoff all the time. Sometimes it's in the intrinsic, the inside knowingness that I was part of making us better as a family. In this household you live in, there are things that go into making it run. And keeping it clean and making sure that the trash goes out, the dog gets fed, the floor gets swept, dishes get washed. Make sure that if you've got all your little sticky fingers on the wall, that somebody wipes some of that down sometimes. All of those things, there's something developmentally appropriate at every level. When our kids are 2 and 3 years old, you can teach them to put their toys away. Hey, if everybody takes their shoes and they put their shoes out each day after they kick them off, teaching the kids, whose bedroom does this go back to? Whose closet might this go to? The only job you have to do is learn how to match a shoe at 2 or 3 years old and take it to the appropriate place. But you are learning to contribute early. If we don't teach them early, we can't be surprised later when we're having difficulty getting them to do the things that we now think they should be doing, but there was no foundation laid. And when we are doing those chores, we are us growing. We ourselves are growing as a unit, and you grow as an individual. So your kids have to have chores. We had them when we were younger, but somehow we allowed our kids to get away with not having them when they got older. And we're seeing the changes in our society as you have more and more people who are used to getting and not giving. So if we're going to raise good contributing adults, we ourselves have to enforce those things in our own household.
Okay. A, B, C, then what is D?
Equals D.
Equals D.
That's when you get to do the things you want to do. What's interesting to me is the kids will do nothing and then say, hey, Mom, Dad, can you take me to the mall? Can I go hang out with my friends? Can I get this new sweatshirt? Can I get a new skateboard? I want some new music. I want a new game system. Whatever it is, they're quick to ask for things, but there are no contingencies that are in place for you getting those things. To do the things that you want, to get the things that you want to get, you need to learn to earn those things. And when we teach our kids about the earning process, we actually look forward to the rewarding process. We're happy to give to our kids. We all want to do great things for our kids. But it's easy to give to a kid that you have seen do necessary things. You've seen them giving the effort and trying. They may not get it all right. It may not always be perfect. But the more you invest, the more there is a return on that investment. It is valuable in character development. But we've got to have clear ways of being able to communicate. Before you ask me to do what you want to do, here are the things that I'm going to be checking off. And let's be clear, it's not enough to just have a great attitude and do your chores and skip out on your books. Because in real life, you could be lovely and you can be helpful. But if you are not competent and educated at what it is that you are called to do, people still can't do much with you. So it's about having all three. You could be brilliant, but if you have a horrible attitude, nobody wants to work with you, so nobody cares that you're brilliant. Or you can have a great attitude and you can be brilliant, but skip the chores, as in being a person who contributes. Nobody wants to work with you. So all three of those things need to be present together in order to get to that D, to do what you want to do, because I'm teaching you how to be an adult, and a good adult at that. So it's simple math if we communicate it clearly, and if we reinforce it consistently. A plus B plus C equals D. You get to do the things you want to do.
It sounds easier than it is. And keeping it simple helps you, really do reinforce it, I think.
Indeed, because a lot of times the difficulty for us as parents is we have a clear idea of what we want. But we're not always great at being able to explain that to our kids and to universally maintain that. But when you have simple equations, how was your attitude this week? Did you handle your schoolwork this week? How were your chores? You would have 3 very clear things that you are evaluating that question on. Mom, I want to do this. Dad, I want to do this. Okay, let's look at these 3 things to determine whether or not you get that. And as long as you can do that very clearly, it's not a surprise to your kids when you say, okay, I know you wanted to go hang out with your friends, but all week long, every time I've asked you to do what you needed to do, I've gotten this attitude, or I haven't gotten this performance, or I noticed that you haven't done any of your homework that you were supposed to this week because I just checked Parent Portal. It makes it very clear. There are no surprises with kids. We don't have to flip out. We don't have to yell, we don't have to scream, we don't have to slam doors. We just need to be very clear about our expectations, and they're not up for negotiation. If I say to you that these are the 3 things that I'm expecting, then I need to be consistent in that I am not going to reward what it is that you want if you haven't done those things. So yes, it is more challenging, but the greater challenge is on us because they wear us down.
That's right.
And
I think that's why a lot of people get toward the end of the week, and even if it wasn't a good week and things didn't get done, they give in. Because you want to be the nice parent. That doesn't always get you what you want.
But nice is only working for 2 seconds because you're going to be mad at yourself as a parent later on that you didn't do and stick to what you knew you needed to do with your kids, because now you're paying for it in the conflict that you now have with your child. And the fact is, for as long as they're in our house, we are the parents. And we've got to reclaim that role. It is okay for them to not like us sometimes. They'll love us always.
They'll love us, yes, absolutely.
And they'll appreciate us later. You may not like it right now, but it is good for you. And sometimes the things that are best for us, eating healthy, exercising, don't always taste good or feel good. So we know that it's not always wonderful in the process, but the reward of being healthy and the reward of being fit makes it worth it. We want to raise fit kids, quality children, which means that the process might be a little tight. You may feel the pressure, it may get uncomfortable, but the result will be worth it. But we've got to be consistent as parents.
Okay, that sounds great. We're going to remember that.
Yes, indeed. A plus B plus C equals D.
So to reduce the stress of parenting, let's see if I've got this. A, attitude, B, books, C, chores. When those 3 things are met, we allow our kids to D, do what they want. Within reason, of course. And within the expectations we have set. So, simple way to reduce the stress of parenting. If we can stick to it, then they can stick to it. Thanks for watching.